Hey, what's up everybody? Josh here, and today we are going to take a look at one of my most favorite amp sims available, and that is the JST Guilty Pleasure guitar plugin. Now, why is it called the Guilty Pleasure? Well, I think it's because everybody that's played guitar for 5 minutes, 5 years, or 5 decades has always had that daydream in the back of their mind about playing a sold-out arena, letting a power chord ring out, and being unapologetic, loud, and rock and roll. And that's exactly what this amp sim delivers. So we're gonna check it out, and we're gonna see what this amplifier can do. So I have it loaded into my DAW, Fruity Loops here, and let's dive right into it. Right out of the box, we have this. Right? It sounds, that's the sound right there, y'all. That is the rock and roll, arena, sold out, power chord sound. This is an amplifier. Look at it and say, okay, this is an EGDA amplifier, because those are the first chords that I want to play loud and proud on this. So let's look at the interface, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the sound, but already we're in a fantastic spot. The interface itself, we're greeted with this kind of rough and tumble looking amp face here, and of course the black and gold hardware, no mistake as to where we're going with this in the tone world. You got the Guilty Pleasure kind of splattered on here, and then we have a nice pinup gal, and she's one of the good guys. She's got her halo on, so we're good, we're rocking. Our settings here are what it came with, so we haven't messed with that at all, but we will. The interface, you have a built-in gate, which I did turn up a little bit, and then we have the input control, output control. We have a tuner that works just fine. So all the basics, nothing you don't need. Let's go to the pedal section, and again, just like the Tone Forge Menace, you got one pedal, baby, and that's all you need. We don't need 15 pedals on the front to do, no, just one. You want to boost it or do you not want to boost it? I mean, it's up to you. But it's more than just a boost. We do have some gain control here and some tone shaping available. So moving on, we have the amp face here, which looks great, and then we have the cabinet section. This is the third guitar plugin that was released by JST. You had the Tone Forge Ben Bruce, you had the Tone Forge Menace, and then this one. The Ben Bruce and Menace had one cab that had 4 impulse responses, and they all sounded fantastic. They were great. This one has 2 cabinets with 4 impulse responses, so a total of 8. Math. See? Now, we're going to take a look at the first one here. This is the Mesa 412. This is your classic closed back Mesa 412 here. It sounds warm and monstrous, and you get a lot of low end out of it, a lot of good resonance, and you have 4 different mic options there. Then you have your orange cab, which is a little more scoopy, a little more sharp and tight on some of the higher stuff, and a little more bright, if you will. I know that's a lot of adjectives, but those are what come up for me when I hear this speaker. So for instance, let's just do the Mesa 4x12 real quick, and I'll show you some of just the basic differences. Right, so that's the Mesa 412, and then we have the orange, and you're going to get more of this type of sound. See, it's a little more raunchy, a little more scooped out, a little more in your face. This would be a great blending cab to kind of add some layer to, let's say, like the Mesa or something else. But if you can't find what you're looking for with these, you can load your own impulse response. Easy to do, rock and roll, and set you on your way. However, I like the 412, and I like the condenser, just like in the Menace. This condenser mic, it just captures everything, both ends of the spectrum, if you will. And just an example. It just captures the lows and the highs really well, and that's what I'm gonna stick with. Moving on to the effects section, and we got a lot going on the effects section here that is really cool. First of all, the delay pedal, the JST 999. I don't know if that's how much it cost or if that's how many times it took him to get it where he wanted, but who knows. I really love this Sega style font that drew me in as a 90s kid. Totally love it. This is an analog style delay. It's very powerful, very sensitive to the different controls. So you have your milliseconds here, your repeat, which would be like feedback on others, and then your delay level, which is like your mix. So normal is bypassed, and then effect, you can hit the switch if you want, or you can click over here, whatever you choose. and you can get that going. Then we have a reverb over here. I prefer it on the hall setting myself, but you do have spring, hall, room, and reverse. And then you have the amount, the blend. This is a really powerful reverb as well, and I found that the blend control is oftentimes down here for my stuff, not anywhere beyond this. I mean, now we're getting into outer space out here. But you can go there if you want. So then, kind of the star of the show is this wah pedal that they've modeled in here. And this is like a Morley style wah that's really cool to look at, and you can add some distortion and crank it up if you want, and you get something like this. You know, and then you can start shaping that tone. So even if you want to just add a little texture, you could really add some texture there. It's not an auto wah, but you could, if you wanted to, hook a MIDI pedal up to this and control the expression, which would be really cool, but I'm not that cool and I don't have one, so meh. Moving on to the back end, we have a parametric EQ that's very powerful and very serviceable. I don't touch it much, just like the limiter back here. I don't mess with this much, but it is here and it's also very powerful. You have your gain reduction, your in, out, you can shape it how you wish. One thing in this plugin that's cool is if you click signal path down here, now we're looking at a little different situation, right? So you see you have pedal, amp, cab, the magic, the effects, the EQ, and the limiter. So what's this magic about? Well, I'll show you. Joey Sturgis is a tonal wizard. We all know this. It's been proven. There's files on it, probably somewhere locked up away, and we all know it. But we love it because it is amazing. So this magic here, when we take it off, this is what the amp sounds like. Very raw. But when we put the magic on, it's just, whoa, it is magic, right? There's a little bit of EQ there to help it cut and to help it pop. All the good things that we love to hear about. So you can also turn things off with one click as opposed to trying to double click them like I do, and I'm not the greatest at it. So this is nice, thank you for that. You'll notice if you turn the cab off, all this goes away because, I mean, what would you need it for, right? And you know, you have that option if you wish. If you want to use like an external IR loader or some different kind of speaker setup, they say, yeah, go ahead, turn it off. But why would you? This sounds so good. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of the sound options with this amp as I find where I'm supposed to go. There we go. So right out of the gate, for what this amp is designed to do, in my estimation, we're pretty much there. I think if I was going to tweak this a little bit, all I would do is bump the tone knob down a little bit on the overdrive. I'd probably boost the level just a touch and take some of the gain down, and then I would go and probably keep the gain right about where it is, give it a little more beef, a little less honk, and then a little less treble. And then the output control on this amplifier does have an effect on the tone. The more you crank the output, the more warm and saturated your tone is going to be. So I do like to crank my output a little bit. I'm not going to do it much, but just enough to kind of get us where I want us to be. So this is how I would dial it in for, if I was going to use it, let's say for a record, and just a little bit of tweakage, but not too much. I just can't get enough of it, man. I love to play big chords with this amp sim because it just responds so well. It really sings for you. So, okay, you know it can do this. You know it can rock, and you can get those classic rock tones or that modern classic sound going, and it's effortless with this amp sim. That's what I love about it so much. But let's say if you're like, well, you know, I want to play something a little more aggressive, a little more modern metal. Can this do it? Yeah, and I'll show you how to get there, or at least how I get there. So it's going to start for me on the tone, on the overdrive pedal. I'm going to get the tone up a little more gain, and a little more level there. I'm going to kind of keep it right there. I don't want to go too crazy on the front. But then if I go here and I let that gain get up there, and I give it some booty, and I give it a little less mid honk, right? A little less of the goose, the honky goose. And then the treble, I'm actually going to tune it down a little bit, as well as the presence, because this amp can get pretty sharp on the high end. And then of course my output control is going to be doing a lot of the work, getting the saturation for me. We'll keep the 412 Mesa just for consistency's sake, and I'll kind of show you what that's like. So here you go. Right? You can get there. If you want to, you totally can. Now, would I say this is my go-to amplifier for those really low crushing tones? Maybe. I mean, it sounds pretty dang good, but I think I would want to use this more for what it's built to do, and that is the more rocky type stuff. So with the effects now, I'll show you how I like to dial in my delay and reverb for the solo, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. But what I like to do with my delay, I like to put it up to about 430, 450, somewhere in there. And then I like to repeat about 45%. And then the delay level, this can go really crazy. So I like to actually have this way down at like 9 or so. And then you get that cool. Don't you just love that? I mean, this amp can do it all, baby. It sounds great. So this delay pedal is really powerful, and you'll notice like I have that delay level way down there. You could go crazy. You could start going into some crazy territory there if you wanted to. Or another cool thing, another trick with this delay is if you get these milliseconds way down, I'm talking like 20-ish, and you can double click these and type numbers, which I love. Thank you, Joey. So, you know, if you want that robotic sound, you know, you could do that. That's another little trick with this pedal. The wah, I'm not going to use much, but maybe for a little texture, something every now and then. You know, it works. It sounds cool. I think I would use it as a layering thing more than a wah thing, but it's there. And then the reverb, what I like to do is I like the hall reverb. It's a little more natural to me. And then I like to kind of get the amount down a little bit, and then the blend really low. I don't like a ton of reverb in my mix. So I like to put it at about a 10 or so and see how that sounds just to start. I like to start small and then add as I go if I need to. I think that's pretty good. I might even bump that up just a little bit to like a 15. Yeah, you know, you have to mess with it. I think probably a 12 would be perfect. If you're in the market for something that is rock and roll, loud, unapologetic, and easy to dial in, here you go. It's not going to be quite as snarly and aggressive as your Tone Forge Menace, but you can take it there if you really push it, but you're not going to get anything else to give you that warmth and that whatever this is. I think this stands on its own as a really, really cool, maybe even one-trick pony, or I would use it as a one-trick pony, but it's a good pony. So anyway, that's all for now, folks. Hope you enjoyed this presentation and demo of the JST Guilty Pleasure. Check it out on the JST website. I'll put a link in the description below. Comment on the video. Let me know what you like about this amp, how you like to dial it in, and I'll see you on the next one.